Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel of mprugs.com. My name is Mike. I'm the moderator in the series of videos that is all about Persian rugs and handmade carpets from around the world. In this video, I want to introduce you to several Kilim rugs. And Kilims are one of the types of handmade carpets. It is probably the type of rug that virtually all of you have seen at one point or another. They're oftentimes also sold in department stores, home furnishings, I would imagine places like, well, worldwide IKEA or IKEA, depending on where you are. You'll find them there. The Kilims are a subtype of Persian rug, basically handmade rug. I apologize. These are handmade carpets, and in this video here today, I'm going to introduce you to several types of them. Of the Persian variant, these are all genuine Persian handmade Kilims. I'm also going to be in the follow-up video, in the next part, I'm going to introduce you to Kilims that are made in, for example, places like Afghanistan, Morocco. And then I'm also going to later on introduce you in another part. This is going to be a series of videos. In another part, I'm going to also introduce you to a Persian rug that has, unfortunately, I think it's already thankfully going away out of the fashion world. It's the vintage Persian rugs, and they actually have some of similar characteristics as the Kilims. But if you have watched my channel, I made a video about the vintage Persian rugs. I had absolutely no problems displaying and expressing an absolute disdain for those types of Persian rugs. And I kind of explained it why. But I've also found that some of the more popular, at least currently popular types of modern Kilim rugs, the ones that are really in right now, for example, at the time the video is taken, are, for example, the Moroccan and the Afghan Kilims, which have distinct contemporary designs. And like I said, I'm going to be featuring them in another video. In this one, I'm going to be starting out the series on Kilim rugs by showcasing and explaining a little bit about the Kilim rugs, in this case being the Persian ones. I put out 3 different variations. They're all very similar. I'll explain to you a little bit, and then, as I always do, get behind the camera. I'm going to show you some of the close-ups. The Kilim rugs are the type of handmade carpet that tend to be very tribal in just about everywhere in the world, whether it's Afghanistan, Nepal, Persian meaning nowadays basically Iranian. You also have, for example, Turkish ones, although they are not very common. You will find Moroccan. You'll also find probably Egyptian. The Kilims have been around for centuries, and just about, I think, everyone I've spoken to has basically made it a point of saying, you know, they take a matter of national pride, I suppose. You ask the Iranians and they'll tell you, oh yeah, the Persian Kilims, you know, they're the ones who came up with this. You ask the folks in Morocco, Afghanistan, Egypt, just about everyone in the world will take credit for inventing them. So I'm not going to sit here or stand here and debate about which came first, the chicken or the egg. Instead, I'm going to make a series of videos where I'm going to feature several different types. These are great utility, what I call utility rugs. They tend to be inexpensive. They're also genuinely handmade, and these are the ones that I'm going to be featuring. There are some nowadays that are also being heavily machine-made rugs. For example, if you go to the department stores and you see these carpets for 50, 60 euros or 50, 60 dollars. Well, chances are they're not handmade. I mean, it would be a bit difficult for someone to spend several weeks or a month making a carpet and then the department store turning around and selling them for pennies on the dollar. It just wouldn't make sense. So I'm going to be focusing on the handmade rugs. And like I said, here we have 3 different types of Persian rugs. I'm going to, when I get behind the camera, I'm going to showcase them. But basically what I like about the Kilims is that they tend to be universal. I mean, they tend to be almost like, you know, there's so many different usage. There's so many different things you can do with them. Whether it is that you have a traditional rug that you can put on the floor. And if you do, I would strongly recommend that you buy or that you ask the dealer or that you look for rug padding. Rug padding doesn't have to be thick, it doesn't have to be real expensive and fancy. A lot of the home improvement stores online, you can buy them just about anywhere. And the reason why I suggest that if you buy any type of Kilim, if you're going to place it on the floor, and this is something that you're going to be walking on, it's almost like placing a towel on a floor. And if you walk fast enough, or if you're not realizing that you have something that can move around, you may very easily find yourself slipping and falling. So to prevent that from happening, I would strongly suggest 2 things. If you're going to put a Kilim on a hard surface floor, doesn't matter whether it's wood or stone, do yourself a favor, get yourself a thin rubbery pad. Very inexpensive. Basically, you'll probably have to lay it down, then you put the Kilim, put the rug on it, and then you cut it to the size you need. But it will keep it in place so when you step on it, it doesn't slip and slide. That's one thing. The other suggestion that I have for you is that if you are going to be placing a Kilim on a carpet, wall-to-wall carpeting, for example, like in bedrooms. A lot of people don't have hard surface floors in bedrooms because they want to have a little bit of warmth. And so in a lot of countries throughout the world, you will find that bedrooms, you know, sometimes even apartments, they have wall-to-wall carpeting. Well, I'm going to give you my personal suggestion. Don't buy a Kilim if you're going to put it on that type of flooring because they crawl. You can even get sticky pads. They sell pads that are designed to help with carpets that are, with rugs that literally are placed on carpets. But here's the thing, it's going to stick to the carpet, it may stick to the rug, and at the end of the day, you are still going to have a little bit of crawls. It creates waves when you step on them, when you walk over them. And so, yes, I have a rug business. Yes, we sell rugs for a living. Like I said, you got my website there at mprugs.com. But I always tell my clients, I'm going to give you my 2 cents. And if you're going to put a Kilim on carpet, you're not going to be happy. So, but if you are going to be putting it on any type of hard surface where it could be slipping, definitely get a pad. And this applies to all Kilims. Doesn't matter whether it's Persian, Moroccan, Afghan, doesn't matter. Kilim equals padding for hard surface floors, and trust me, you're not going to hurt yourself when it slips and slides. But in this case, we have, for this video here today, I'm going to have a few examples. And these are, I like them because they're fairly inexpensive, and because, as I mentioned to you, they're very, there's so many things you can do with them. That whether it is you want to use them as a rug, whether you want to lay them over furniture, over a couch for example, and just have it as a throw rug. Whether I've seen people literally place them on beds as rug decor, and then they simply take it off at night when they go to bed. So you have all kinds of options. Now, the thing to remember is, don't go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm going to actually show you a piece right here that is a silk piece. But it is not the type of silk that would cost thousands of dollars. These are fairly inexpensive, and Kilims should be inexpensive. Because Kilims, unlike rugs, Kilim is basically the foundation only. There is no pile. There was nothing that was added. On a normal rug, you have the fringes. You have what is known as a foundation. Then you have the pile, the wool. Well, with the Kilims, you typically don't. There are a few exceptions, and in fact I made a video of them. I'm going to put them, they're called Nimbaft. These are Persian rugs that also have, these are Persian Kelim rugs that also have sometimes pile in them in certain areas. They're called Nimbaft. I'm going to put the link to that video that featured them in the description. They're really rare pieces, and they're just, in my opinion, they're just beautiful because of their rarity. And for those of you that are into Persian rugs, I would definitely suggest that you check them out. But the Persian Kelim rugs, these tend to be made like most of the Kilim rugs. They were made in the tribal regions. One of the things that you will notice, that amongst the tribes, the villagers, the people that weave Kilim rugs, one thing that they all seem to have in common is the fact that they tend to be rural or tribal folks. And the purpose of the Kilim is to, in the old days, was to weave a rug that can literally be put on the back of a horse or a camel, and the tribes would literally use them to literally put on the ground when they erect their tents, and or if they were living in small villages. These are rugs that were designed to have a purpose. But because most of these people that weave these types of rugs, no matter where they are in the world, they tend to be somewhat nomadic, the rugs had to be light, they had to be soft, easy to fold up, and to carry with them. This is why, for example, you have typically two types of what we call tribal rugs. You have the really light ones, and then you have the real heavy ones. There seems to be, when it comes to the tribal rugs, for example, you don't find a lot of luxurious rugs, because the people, the cultures where you have nomadic people on horses, on camels, just literally moving around, well, they're not going to be worrying about silk. You're not going to be worrying about, just luxury. You're worrying about your necessities, the things that you need in order to survive, and the things that are also durable and will last you for many years. Well, these are the types of rugs that nomadic folks and just about anywhere in the world would not only weave, but they would use them. And now in the last, well, starting in the mid-20th century, they have been exported throughout the world, become very popular. And like I said, so I thought in this series, I'm going to start out with the Persian ones. In the next video that I'm going to be featuring, I'm going to be talking about the Moroccan and the Afghan ones. And then it's going to be a series of videos. So as I'm always going to do, I'm going to get behind the camera now. I'm going to grab my camera, show you some of the features close up, explain to them a little bit more in detail, and then finally I'm going to come back and say my goodbyes. And as always, if you have any questions, put them below in the comments section, and I'm going to explain all that later on. And of course, you're going to have the links to some of these rugs. I do not actually feature a lot of these Kilims in my website simply because they tend to be so inexpensive that depending on the size, the shipping costs more than the rug itself, or can cost equally as much when the rugs go overseas. And so like I said, in this video, it's not about me trying to sell something. I just want to make sure that when you look at Kilim rugs, that you know what to look for, and that you can find something that, you know, that you can go in the store, you can go online, you can look at something and you feel comfortable knowing that you have the information that you need to make the right type of purchase. So I'm going to see you again here. I'm going to get behind the camera now, as I always do. So we're going to pick it up in a second. So as always, from behind the camera, I thought I'm just going to show you some of the features. And these are all, like I said, these are very classic Kilim rugs. We chose two different types. I grabbed a couple of wool ones that you see to my left and the right, the gold colored piece, and the one here that has a dark green background. And then in the middle here, this is something that is generally, it's depending on who you ask. Some people will refer to them as Nimbaft. Others will call them Verni. These are silk, right here. This is a silk piece that is on a cotton foundation. One thing that virtually all Kilims have in common is that they are typically made either of wool or, and this is something I would actually call this, it is classified as silk, the pile, but I, honest to God, if it was up to me, I would be classifying this as very finely spun cotton. There is a fine line, and the reason that we actually have to classify these types of Verni Nimbaft Kilims as silk is because this is actually what the governments, like I said, we have to classify the rugs based upon the governments. In Europe, in Americas, this is classified as a silk carpet. But this is, again, something I'm not going to argue with the government agencies about which they are. The good news is these are typically fairly inexpensive. Like I said, in these three cases, these are all roughly 1.5 meters by 1.5 meter by 1 meter across, so about 5 feet by 3.5, and you can buy these for a few $100s. I mean, these are not too expensive. I'm going to say anywhere, like I said, in the United States, you can typically get these for like $500 or $600 or so. And these are great handmade carpets. And what is unique about them is if you look on the back of it, you see all of this stitching right here. I mean, this is all wool that has just been, this is what a Kilim is. On the Persian rugs, all of this would be cut off, and this would be the foundation of the rugs, and then the pile would be woven into the knots. Well, the Kilims, this is what the back of it looks like, and then this is the front. I'm just going to show you another piece right here. And this is a similar piece. You will notice when you go up close, you can see how, depending on the type of rug, depending on the province, you can have the wool just going over. And this right here, very similar to the Nimbaft. The only difference is in some of them, they wear out over time. But the weave stays. These are all handmade pieces, really well done. And like I said, these are just such beautiful decor rugs. Sometimes also you will notice, and depending on which nations they're from, and even amongst the Persian ones, you can have some that they use sheep wool for the foundation. And so it's really, like I said, really nice pieces. I like them a lot simply because I also appreciate the handmade quality. And again, I'm just going to go in the back. Some of them, sometimes they have the little decor ruffles. The ruffles added to the sides or the bottoms. Again, there is also the, you can see it in the back of it, how the weaving is done. And it's just a really, like I said, there's nothing really a whole lot. It's not a luxury that you're looking at. You're just looking at handmade pieces of art, beautiful throw rugs. So I just wanted to feature them in the close-ups. Again, especially when it comes to the Persian ones. I have the video in the description of the Nimbaft. Check out the video if you're into Kilim rugs, because the Nimbaft Kilim rugs are extremely rare and very unique. So I'm basically done here with the close-up part of the video. So I'm going to end it here and say my final goodbyes to you. So I hope you liked this video about the Persian Kelim rugs. As I mentioned to you, I'm going to be featuring Afghan Moroccan ones in my next video, so that hopefully I want to give you a variety of handmade Kelim rugs from around the world. And then also in another video, we're going to have them all separate. We're going to be, I'm going to give you my personal thoughts on Kilim rugs and vintage Persian rugs and how they relate. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Also, I have made other videos already about different types of Kilim rugs. You will find them in our YouTube channel. So if you like Persian rugs, feel free to click the subscribe button. And I wish you and your family the very best from all of us. And I'm going to be coming back to you with many more videos to come. So thanks again and best wishes. Bye-bye.